It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw. Before we get started, we want to help you save some money.
That's right, folks. Don't forget to use our promo codes to save that money. And let's start off with buckbaits.com. That's right, the brick and mortar store of Buck Baits down at Sterling Heights, Michigan at 15 and Dodge Park. Go over there. If you're on the website, buckbaits.com, use the promo code UNJ20. That will get you 20% off your order.
For those of you who are looking for Easy Cut products, make sure you go to easycutproducts.com. And when you're there, use the UNJ promo code UNJ15 off to save 15% off your order.
And let's not forget Lincoln Roan over at packermax.com. It's never too early, never too late to think about the Packermax. Go on over to packermax.com, use the promo code UNJ25. That'll get you $25 off your order over at Packermax Outdoors.
For those of you looking for some new firearms and firearm products, make sure you go over to the islandarmory.com. While you're there shopping, use the promo code UNJ10 to save 10% off your order there.
If you shot that bird of a lifetime and you want it mounted, don't forget Troublesome Creek Taxidermy. We've had them live on the show. We've talked to them. You want to get 10% off your order, go to Facebook, go to troublesome.creek.7, find their website. If you go to our website, UNJ, make sure to click on the button to download the form. You get 10% off over there using the code UNJ10.
Looking for that game call, whether it be a squirrel, whether it be goose, duck, deer, make sure you go to JPO Game Calls. Look for them at jpogamecalls.com, and while you're there shopping, use the UNJ10 promo code to save 10% off your order.
And Miller Deer Tracking, the man that seems to never sleep during deer season. Get 20% off your next deer tracking using the promo code UNJ20. Look for Miller Deer Tracking on Facebook or give him a call over at 810-240-4891.
Looking for the hottest new plastics to take on the water, whether it be hard water or soft water? Make sure you go over to southernindianabaitco.com. While there, use the UNJ promo code UNJ10 to save 10% off your order.
Deer Camp Coffee, folks. We drink it every night on the show. You want to try it? You can go to the brick and mortar store at 15 and Dodge Park at Deer Camp itself, or go to deercampcoffee.com. Also use our promo code UNJ10. You get 10% off your order. And don't forget, get a bag of the UNJ medium roast blend there as well.
All right, Danny, where's our live view camera look from tonight?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another live UNJ show on a Wednesday night here, coming from the cabin. Tonight's live shot where it's a nice 68 degrees overlooking the Anchor Bay over by Lake St. Clair. I tell you what,
that's a cool shot.
It is an awesome, cool shot. The boat went out of view, but there is, looks like a boat fishing. I was over that way last night, over by Denise's. In the evening, and with all this smoke going on from the fires from Canada and up here in Michigan, the sun going down looked really cool.
Everybody's taking sunset pictures, moonrise pictures, all kinds of stuff with the fires that are going on. And a quick shout out to the people here in Michigan that up in Grayling that had a wildfire at the beginning of the week, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Is that right? Beginning of the week. Burned several hundred acres in Crawford County. So 90% under control as of yesterday, I believe. So they got that one settled. But this one's coming out of Canada, man. It's really blowing.
They got a bunch of fires. They did a little map, and it just wasn't one. It was like dotted up there. And matter of fact, I have some relatives that are way up in Quebec, and they're kind of close to it. They haven't been evacuated, but they know some people that have been evacuated. So,
okay.
Like you said, it's unfortunately we haven't had rain here. They said on the radio this morning 17 days.
I say it's probably been close to 3 weeks. We're supposed to get some Sunday, I believe.
Maybe
3 days in a row we're supposed to get rain, and my yard needs it big time. But Danny, hats off to you. That is, I got to say, the best live look-in we've had maybe since the measuring stick with the snow on the snowmobile trail.
Exactly, and you know what? And
that's a cool shot.
We got a live person's head in just coming into the lower right hand. Nice. But, that is a great shot. We'll probably come back and visit this one, hopefully when we maybe a little bit later in the summer or when we get some hard water.
There you go. Get some water.
Because that is a great area for perch.
There you go. Okay. All right. Welcome back to another episode of Up North Journal, buddy. Host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw. So, how was your week?
You know, it was dry.
It's been dry.
It's been busy.
Hey, Danny Steiner.
And I tell you what. Yep, that's right. Mark Coleman, you watching the show? I got my shirt on. I stopped at the Speedway on the way to the show tonight, and the person that was ringing me up for my jerky loved my shirt. Right here. I'll tell you what.
Folks, don't encourage him. Please. Just don't.
Hey. You gotta run with it.
Grief, Charlie Brown. All right. Well, let's get this show on the road tonight. We got a very, very cool subject to talk about tonight with a very, very important person.
Absolutely.
Soon to be part officially of the UNJ family.
T-minus a week and a half.
10 days.
10 days.
Well, do the introductions. I'm going to let you do this.
Oh, you don't let me?
Well,
None other than my fiance herself, Denise, who is sitting nice and patiently in Clinton Township, excited to be on the show.
How you doing, Denise?
I'm doing really good. Hi, everybody. Hi, Mike. Hi, Dan. Hi, Mark, Terry, Tammy, and Adam.
There you go. Got them all in.
All right, so Tammy's already starting with the jokes.
Oh, boy.
Can't see it. Stand up.
Wow. And Denny Steiner is in the cabin tonight with us all the way from down in Illinois. And I hear a rumor that none other than Mr. Paul Penix is in his house. And they're twisting up bowstrings.
They are, and Denny's going to be going to Africa, so I will be talking to Denny here in the next day or two, and we will, I'll figure out what's going on with him, what he's going to be going after, because honestly, I really don't know what much he has left to go after.
I think he's got, like, Africa in his game room.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. And we got to go down and see that, too.
We do. So, yeah, Denise is on the show. We're going to talk to her tonight about being a first-timer. A little background about Denise. She, up until the Saturday we were in Africa, she had never shot a rifle.
Never shot a rifle.
Right. So, how about we go back and find out a little bit about Denise and find out what did you think when you initially were asked to go to Africa? Let's start there.
Let's back up even further. When Danny asked you to marry him, what were you thinking? No, I'm sorry. I'm just being mean. I'm sorry. No, seriously. You know, he brings me this idea way back. You know, and I'm like, yeah. You're going to go to Africa. Okay, one day. Well, one day happened. And I heard he got a call from Dave Wilkins. Actually, Dave just chimed in here. He's watching tonight. And says, let's go. And Danny turns to you and says, let's go. What were the first words out of your mouth?
Yes, I'll go.
Yes, I'll go. Okay. What were you expecting? I mean, you had to have some kind of ideas, like in back of your mind. It's like, okay, Danny's a hunter. We're going to go to Africa. I've seen it on a map. I've seen animals from there. But then reality sets in. You're getting on a plane and you're taking off, and all of a sudden it's real. So what's kind of going through your mind after you said yes, and what are you thinking about the trip?
I was really super excited to go because I had met Dave at the shows, and then we actually went out to dinner with him, and he explained all of what I could expect and how much his wife even liked going and didn't want to go home, and you're just really in a great place. And even though I wasn't a hunter, there's so many animals to see. Even when you're out there looking for a certain animal, you're bound to see hundreds of others.
Yeah.
So the trip, that's what I was expecting, to seeing animals, and they definitely showed me animals.
Okay.
And that's one thing Dave did say, and actually Harm backed it up when we were there, because we kind of talked about how we would equate it to how we see in Michigan, right? And so Denise hasn't gone out whitetail hunting or nothing like that. So I was kind of explaining, sometimes we go out and if we see 1, 2, 3 in a morning or in a day, we're like, ooh, that's awesome.
Right.
But like Harm told us, you're gonna. If I don't show you 100 animals in a day, then I'm not doing my job.
Gotcha. Might not be the ones you're looking for, but there's going to be 100 animals.
Right, Denise?
Yes, and even driving to some of these concessions, you would see animals, lots and lots of animals. We've seen sable on this, just driving. We would see Impala. We saw lots of wildebeest, and we kept calling them Pumbas, but the warthogs.
Right. So going over, or before you went, did you know what you're going to be looking for? I mean, did you know what a wildebeest looked like, or blessed buck, or the buffalo, or the warthog? I mean, or the impala. I mean, a lot of those for me kind of run together, and I don't know if I could honestly tell you every animal. Go, that's this, and that's that, and that's that. Did you have any idea about that at all? Did Danny get you a game book to say, okay, look at the pictures?
I would honestly say I could point out the warthog and the wildebeest, but beyond that, I'm not sure I really could.
Okay.
And that's just probably from Lion King.
Right. Well, honestly, I mean, a lot of people learn the different animals,
right?
But what they look like from, cartoons and things that we've seen from Disney or other companies that produce those kinds of films. So
right, exactly. And one of the first questions coming in the chat is, so we decided to go to Africa. The question is, how long did it take you to get your passport? Did we need any shots or anything like that?
It actually took about, I guess, 6 to 8 weeks to get the passport. It wasn't a long process. It was super easy. Where I went, they even took my picture there. I didn't have to bring my own picture.
Okay.
And because of where we went, there wasn't risk of malaria, so we didn't need any shots.
Okay. So going back to the passports, this is a question because my driver's license is coming up for renewal in 4 or 5 months, and I've been thinking about getting an enhanced license to go to Canada, and I thought, well, maybe I should get a passport. Just, I don't know. You never know. And thinking along them lines, so tell me, where did you go to get a passport?
I live in Clinton Township, and you're able to do it right at the Clinton Township offices.
Is that the local government municipality?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's your city, your township is, so where you would pay your water bill or pay your property taxes, I was able to go right there and do my passport.
I did not know that. Do all of them do that?
I don't know if all of them do that, because I know Fenton, I think, when I looked it up, was the post office.
Okay. Because if that's the case, I can walk across the street and get mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the township hall.
Oh!
Right across the street.
There you go.
If I don't get hit on the main road there.
I have an enhanced license,
Uh-huh.
and for the $40, I just got it. That way I don't have to ever worry about wondering where my passport is in case we just decide to go to Canada one day.
Right.
It's really simple. They just ask you a couple questions. But, it took her 6 to 8 weeks to get hers. And truthfully, that was one of the things Dave said when we last September, I think we finalized that we were going to do it. She literally went within the next day or two, because he says, don't wait.
Mm-hmm.
And they also say, don't have your passport expiring that year that you're going.
Okay.
Make sure it's current. Mine doesn't expire till next year. And then, but no, she went and did that, and really, it just waited in the mail. And what was the price you paid?
I feel like it was about $150. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it's good for 10 years.
10 years, okay.
So, so Mark Coleman says, do it. Oh, hey, what's up, JPO game calls? They're on. But yeah, so with that being said, we needed no shots. We just needed...
We also did the TSA pre-check, or registered... What was that we did?
So that was the the TSA pre-check-in, where you get a number.
Okay.
And you go through, you fill out the information, they do everything, your fingerprints, again, the whole 9 yards. So then when you go to the airport, you go to the pre-TSA line, and you don't have to get all, everything out. You just take your wallet, your glasses, you throw them in the bin with your backpack, and away you go. You don't even have to take your shoes off.
Save you some time. So
Anybody
that's
that's
past at Cedar Point.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Anybody that's traveling that's going to do it, I have mine for work, but literally get it done and take care of it. I think that was $60, I think, and you go, you take care of it, and that just enhances your experience of getting through the airport.
Gotcha.
Going there, we didn't have no problems checking our luggage going. That was probably our longest line, right, Denise?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get over there, you get off the flight, and next thing you got boots on the ground, and you're driving up to the place. You get there. I mean, at that point, hey, I'm in Africa for the first time. What are you thinking at this point?
So I think the first initial shock was that they would drive on the right side of the left side of the road.
The wrong side of the road.
And the driver is on the right side of the car, and it's so every time they would turn right, I'm looking behind me to make sure nobody's coming, but obviously oncoming traffic is coming from in front of us.
Yeah, that would be odd.
That was
yeah.
I don't know about you, Denise, but that was one of the things I could not get used to when they were making a left-hand turn, and I see this car coming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're in trouble. And then all of a sudden we'd turn, we'd be on the wrong side of the road. And I was like, oh, God. I was a little panic.
Well, I imagine they feel the same way here.
Then they start talking, and you love their accent. That was fun.
So you get on the grounds. Tell me a little bit about the grounds, what you're doing there, and how that all shook out that first day you're there.
It was dark when we first got there, but even then you could just tell it was a beautiful place. Everything's immaculate. We got to see our chalet, and it's a room with a thatched roof, but it's really, really nice. We saw Dave's room as well, and they almost it almost looks like you're going into a cave to go into the bathroom. That was really neat.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. What did you think of? I have the pictures of the area where we all congregated with the pool table, the bar, and the sitting area. What did you think of that area?
The safari room.
Thank you.
We had that's where we always gathered to eat. Even after we'd eat, we would sit on the couches and just chat. We had a lot of fun in that room. One night, Danny and Dion were playing pool, and another night we told dad jokes. So we just had a lot of fun in that room. And it's just, if you're even in there alone, you walk around and you look at all the animals, and you're just amazed at the size of them. Pictures do not do justice of how big those animals really are.
All right, so we're talking about animals now. Let's take our first break. Come back.
Right.
I want to get you out into the field and start telling this story about how everything unfolded and how you went from just going over for a trip to becoming a first-time hunter. So we're going to step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible.
By basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back, second segment of the show. We're talking with Denise tonight about, from her perspective, about the trip that they took, her and Dan took over to Africa. We heard Danny talk a couple weeks back about his experience over there. But Denise, you, just kind of refresh again, you went over there just at first as a kind of a spectator, but in the commercial break, and for those of you on the podcast who are not watching the live stream, you need to go back and really watch these live streams. We were talking about in the break about how she got that itch or that bug to all of a sudden go, maybe this is something I want to try. You know?
Exactly. So if you're listening on the pod in the audio version, go back to Facebook, find the live show from Wednesday night, or stay tuned. Probably during the weekend you'll see a premiere on YouTube, and you can watch it right there. But like you said, there was a couple things we talked about in the break that you're not going to hear. So what I have now for Denise, that she can talk about, is this was the first view looking out of the blind at the water hole. We had got out there about 8:20 or so.
Okay, was it dark?
Nope. We purposely slept in a little bit. Harm and Hendrick had Dave and I shoot our guns.
Okay.
So we were good at 100 yards. And it's kind of nice sitting at 6:20 in the morning and not worrying about the neighbors.
Right.
So we went out there. We got out there about 8 o'clock-ish. So this is about 8 o'clock in the morning. This is our first sit in a blind, which is overlooking a water hole. And Denise, what did you think of the blind that we went into?
I have no experience with blinds other than seeing them from the outside. So I thought it was pretty cool. It had a dirt floor. It's a brick. Has a very tall thatched roof. Very clean.
Well,
windows.
if you go into one up north with Danny or me, you're in for a complete shock. Then.
She's ruined.
You've been ruined.
It's literally been ruined. And I literally, that's when we drove up to this thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Like,
and we went into this thing, and I'm looking at the construction. I'm going,
it looks better than my first house.
It's a house,
right?
And literally, we were excited, but I was just amazed. And then I was thinking, okay, how long is it going to take to see animals? And literally within the first half hour, we had animals coming in. And I was shocked. What did you think, Denise, about seeing the impalas, the black impalas, the blessed buck?
I was truly blown away by seeing those animals and how close they are, and you could hear them snuffle and grunt and make all their noises. Even if they would paw the ground, you could hear that because they're so close. And it's just fun to watch them interact with each other. You can see the different species are like unsure of each other, but they know their boundaries. And the impala were out there first, and wildebeest would come in, and the impala would say, okay, I guess we're done now. But you'd see them kind of out. They wouldn't go far. They would kind of watch. But definitely you can see who has more say, I guess.
No, that makes sense. So is this the first time that you've actually sat out and watched animals in the wild?
Yes.
Okay. So that's pretty incredible. The first time, and you're in Africa seeing this. But to me, what impresses me is the fact you picked up on the hierarchy of the different herds. Number one, of who's in charge. At what, hey, we're coming in. You better get out of here. We're gonna kick you out of here. So, and even within the groups of the same species, the hierarchy. You got the alpha males. And you've got the matriarch females that kind of control things within that herd structure and the way they interact with each other. I mean, to pick that up, is pretty cool. So
as the morning quickly progressed, this blessed buck, of course, when you're in Africa and you have a PH, they're always giving you their recommendations if it's a shooter, not a shooter. A lot of these impala were not shooters. As a matter of fact, it looks like these were all females in this picture. But this blessed buck came in and he kind of said, "Well, that's a really nice one." And I about lost my mind and just said, "I got to shoot something at the time." And
your trigger finger was twitching.
It was terrible.
Let me at it.
Right. So this was the morning, and I ended up. I ended up shooting one. I shot the blessed buck. We talked about that. But Denise, what did you think when you seen somebody shoot an animal in front of you?
So that was one of the things, is I thought every time I saw an animal shot, I was gonna cry. But amazingly enough, after learning the process and how respected these animals are, how they make sure that every shot is going to be a great shot. We don't take chances. We want to make sure this is done right. So after Danny shot that blessed buck, I was like shaking a little bit, but I was truly just amazed by all of it. Everything that happened before and everything that happened after. There's so much respect that goes into taking care of these animals. So that that gave me a lot of confidence right there. It really did.
You know, that to me, actually, I'm kind of shocked because most people that aren't around hunters or have no experience with hunting or being in the wild, and they see somebody take an animal, especially up close and personal like that, you know, and like you said, you were thinking you were going to cry, but then you didn't, you know, because of the respect and everything, that you get it. And that, to me, that's pretty cool. The fact that you understand that, because a lot of people never get there. You know?
Right, exactly, and you know, and to pick up on everything that she's picked up, and this kind of made for me my trip with her, was seeing her start, you know, because I really didn't know what to expect as much as she didn't know.
Right.
You know, and I'm sorry, Denny, that I didn't use a bow, but I got intimidated, but I'm all right with that. And she just, you know, she listened to Harm talk. She, you know, and I listened. It was awesome. She was all ears when she needed to be, and
to me, it's open-mindedness. You know,
literally
being open-minded towards listening to people that do hunt or do, you know, take care of animals out in the wild for the purpose of hunting or what have you. To me, that speaks volumes. Number one, of you as a person being open-minded enough to do that, because in today's society, you know, I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on or religion or whatever. It's us and them. It's just a constant battle of us and them, no matter what group, socioeconomic group you're in. It's just a constant battle anymore. And I think if more people were like you towards hunting and just open-minded and listen to each other, we don't have to agree, but just listening and respecting the other person.
It's okay to have a debate.
Yeah, and debate it. But yeah,
you know,
hats off to you.
Exactly. And then later that morning, I ended up shooting an eland. And what was you? I know what mine was, but what did you think when? Because I had this. Because he said an eland was coming in, and 5 of them came in. But what did you think when you saw the size of these animals?
I was like, is that a dinosaur walking up here? The thing is huge. And my second thought was, because right before we went on this trip, Danny kept saying, and hopefully you'll shoot an eland. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that eland, I'm looking at him like, you want me to shoot that? There's no way. There's no way.
You know, and I got the picture up with you sitting next to the eland that I did take, and it was just, I think we were both in awe as it went down, and we got out and we looked at it, and her and I standing around it, mm-hmm. She was just as much a shock of seeing how a 1,700-pound animal looks.
Right, up close.
Like really up close.
Yeah, it's like walking up to a cow or a bull,
right?
You know, cattle.
So that morning, the first morning we were actually out hunting, she saw me take 2 animals, and then it was that afternoon that she started to get the itch, and we were after lunch we went back out and we had that conversation in the blind with Harm about that. Would Denise want to be able to go and hunt?
So
and
how did that conversation start? I mean, did you ask her, or did Harm ask her, or Denise, did you say, hey guys, this might be something I'm interested in? How did that all unfold?
When we went back in the afternoon, there was a lot of Impala out near the watering hole, and Danny seemed like he wanted to shoot that too, and I was like, okay, 3 in one day. We're going to do it all in one day.
Slow down. Then, slow your roll,
right? So he did. He was like, okay. And then I said, but I wish I could shoot one now. Okay. And Harm said, okay, we're going to change that tomorrow.
This was the aha moment she had. I actually have a picture of that aha moment.
Okay, let me get this pulled up here.
That way everybody can see the moment Denise got that desire to
take a nap.
Take a nap in her dreams. she was like,
she was shooting them all down.
Right. So
it was counting Impala.
So, but seriously though, what in your mind clicked or changed and said, I want to do that? At what point did that happen?
I think what it was is seeing Danny do it and making it look so easy, and just also the confidence that you have from your PH, that you're not going to do harm. Like this is how you get the animal down. They're not going to suffer, because both of those animals, they walked like, what'd you say, 20, 30 yards, and they were down. So there was no, they were just,
it was
that
quick.
was it.
Yep, exactly. And you know what? And hats off to Harm, Hendrik, Dave, even Morgan, who was with us. We talked that afternoon about making it happen. Harm did it. And so he said, when we were at dinner, he said, tomorrow morning, 6:20, we're going out to the rifle range, and Denise, you're going to shoot the gun. So here we are, 6:20 the next morning, and I'm showing the video of Denise. This was her very first shot. He walked her through. What did he walk you through? Do you remember that?
Yeah, so he showed me where all the parts of the gun were, the safety, how to look through the scope, where to put it on your shoulder, where your cheek should rest, how you want to get comfortable with it first and make sure that you're seeing the whole circle, and just aim for what you're trying to shoot. Don't just pull the trigger. You want the trigger to surprise you. So you just kind of squeeze gently, and then once I learned that, it's a better, you stay aimed because you don't jump after knowing it's gonna make a bang.
Right. No.
Right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And 100 yards, first shot, puts it in the orange.
Can't beat that.
He said we're going to shoot 5 times.
Okay.
Right, Denise? And you shot 5 times.
I shot 5 times. They all were in the orange, and the last 2 were in the black, right in the center. Even I was shocked. I think Harm was shocked, and Danny was proud. And I have to say, these guys are really good teachers. I just listened to what they had to say every single time, and definitely helped having a gun that I swear weighed 60 pounds.
Sure, yeah, it takes some of that recoil away. Sitting down for that first shot, after the talk and everything, and you're getting down onto the gun and laying down and getting that sight picture, and you put your finger on the trigger before you pulled it. At that point, is your concentration just totally downrange, or is there any apprehension in your mind? Are you worried about anything at that point, being a first-time shooter?
I guess I was just worried about doing it right, and he actually kind of tricked me. He wanted to make sure that I would learn how to pull the trigger without knowing I was pulling the trigger, if that makes sense. So he didn't have it loaded, but he told me it was loaded.
Gotcha.
And so when I pulled the trigger, it just clicked, and I still jumped. So he's like, see, you passed. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. That's a great teaching tool.
He did a
teaching
fantastic job.
Yeah.
And he took his time. You saw in the video, he was walking her through, looking at a scope, and then watching the magnification. And it was awesome. She did a fantastic job. And just after that morning, how confident? So there's actually 2 questions here. Now that you're on the gun, how confident were you heading out there, knowing that now you were going to be maybe called on to try to shoot something?
I was really confident it was going to happen with how many Impala we did see. And so knowing that any one of them could be considered a shooter, it was just a matter of odds, right?
Right, exactly. And it didn't take long before we started working, trying to get that shot, as we've shown the video here, of her first attempt at taking an Impala. And if you look in the video, you can see there's actually a golden wildebeest out there. And it was just, they were just all over the place and jittery. And so you can see in this video a little bit, and I got a couple of videos here that I tried taking, but we think what was happening is the gun had a silver barrel and it was sliding out the window.
Getting some flash.
We were thinking they were picking that up.
They were getting a reflection off the sunlight.
Right. So
Gotcha.
Every time we tried to get her set, and there was a couple times he just wanted you to get the gun on your shoulder and practice, right, Denise?
Right. So I did a lot of practicing in the blind, just aiming, aim at the tree, aim at just other objects out there. And I actually had an Impala in my sight, and it was a shooter, and Harm said, whenever you're ready, go ahead and shoot. But I was shaking so bad that it looked like the scope was going in a circle on the Impala. And I was like, I can't do it. And so he's like, that's okay. Just back down, take a breath, it's okay. And but then he told me after, he said, even though it seemed like it was doing a big circle, you still would have hit your target.
Yeah.
So that was my first lesson learned, was it doesn't have to be exactly in that spot. You have more of a soccer ball size,
You're right.
and not just that tiny little, the size of the scope or whatever. So
We call that making donuts. When you get so excited, it just starts going around in a little circle.
I'm not lying. It was happening with me. So you know, it was that literally that first Saturday, she went from shooting a gun 5 times out in the field, practicing taking aim, had a possible shot at an Impala. She made the call not to shoot, make a bad shot, but that to me right there was an awesome moment as well, because she knew she didn't want to jeopardize the shot.
Yeah, wounded animal.
Right? So it was awesome. And so that first day we tried, Saturday we ended up not getting anything. And
well, hold that thought.
Right, so
let's take a break.
We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll get into the next thing she learned how to shoot.
All right, we're going to take a quick step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back, third segment of the show, and we've got to the point where we're in the blind, getting ready to shoot, passed on one.
Right, and that was our Saturday. We had a few of those chances. We went into Sunday. Sunday was the day I took 2 zebras. There was a couple chances she had, but never really matured to get there. And then so between Sunday and into Monday, when I shot my sable, did Harm ask you to try to shoot off the truck?
yeah, so as we were leaving that concession, there was 3 Impala in front of us, and they were all shooters. And he said, how do you feel about shooting off the truck? And I just froze. I was like, I said, no, I don't think I should do that just yet. So he said, okay, then this afternoon we're going to show you how to do that. And so after lunch, we went out to the range, pulled the truck up, and I learned how to shoot off the truck.
You know, that's another good thing you can see here is the rifle range. You can pull a truck onto it and practice that shot, right? You know,
now we can't do that in Michigan during whitetail season, so don't get used to that.
Right? Again, another spoiled object.
Right.
But so the pictures I'm showing here, it was off Hendrick's truck because we were going to be taking that. And again, she made the right call. She wasn't feeling comfortable to shoot off a truck until she actually did it. So Harm took her right after lunch, got her up on the truck, and he said, you've expanded how we're going to hunt now.
Right.
So that was my Monday sable. So that afternoon, it was the girls' afternoon we talked about, so we were going to go hunt Impala. That's when Morgan got her sable. We got it late in the day, so anything for Impala was kind of out the door. So that was our Monday.
Well, funny story about that, though, is 2 things. One, I'm proud to say that I spotted the sable, and I was trying to get everybody's attention, like, there's the sable. But I am not the best tracker by any means, so that's why they probably mostly ignored me in the beginning. I would see a cow and go, an animal, and it's like, well, that's a cow.
So in other words, Danny wouldn't have had the sable had you not spotted it. So
it was actually Oh, I'm sorry, but it's actually Morgan.
It was Morgan Sable.
Oh, Morgan Sable. Okay.
In the afternoon, yeah. So literally we were driving and she says, there's one. I remember her pointing and we were just kind of like, okay. And then all of a sudden I think it was Harm that looked back and said, whoa. And they made a stalk on it but didn't get anything. So that was her, she, not only did she learn how to shoot a gun, she was spotting the animals, getting them quickly and seeing them.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was, now we moved to Tuesday, and Tuesday is when I shot my kudu, which took all day, but it was literally, we were hunting for impala and kudu, and we drove, it was probably the coldest and rainiest day we had, and it was probably the best day of hunting I've had in so long. First of all, I was geeked for trying to see a kudu, but second of all was now she could hunt from the top of a truck.
Right.
So that opened up her possibilities again. So as you can see there, this was it was scrub brush, and we had lunch at the top of the mountain, and we seen the giraffes, which are pretty wild. But now he attempted another thing, stalking. So we'll back up a little bit. We don't have any picture of this because it happened so fast, but we got on a Impala at about 30 yards. So go through that story of how we went through that Impala.
So we saw the Impala, and Harm is saying to me, do you see him in the crosshairs? You're going to shoot him right in the shoulder. And I could see the Impala, and he said, okay, when you're ready, you just go ahead and shoot. It's good position and everything. And I shot, and the owner of the concession and our tracker were in the truck, and they immediately saw that the shot went high. And I'm looking like, how did it even happen? Well, after talking to the guys, they said, well, was there brush in the way? I said, well, maybe a little, but I could still see the Impala. And they said, well, it probably deflected off of that little bit of brush. So I learned another lesson, that you really got to try to shoot around the brush or make sure there isn't big brush in your way. So I learned, and as we were doing more of that hunting, and we came upon a lot of Impala, but at one point I said, I was like, I just want to pick this gun up and aim. Like, it's really hard sometimes to get comfortable in the truck, especially if you have to go to your, I think it's your left. Yeah, because you're trying to lean over the truck and look in the scope. It's like really, really hard. And he said, okay, how about you learn how to shoot from sticks, which is they're crossed like this almost, and you rest the gun on there. And so now I'm doing hunting and stalking and shooting to get the Impala.
All right.
And so I learned a lot that day.
So we literally, in front of the truck, he pulled the sticks out, he gave her some instructions, and after that, that point, we were literally, now she was able to do all three types of hunting, whether it going to be from a blind, a truck, or stalking with sticks. And he said that opened up your hunting tremendously. So that did. So we had several opportunities, as you can see through the pictures, them getting off the truck and going out. But like I said, those Impala were just something. And what was your thoughts on when we got to the rifle range and you saw those Impala fighting and you were trying to shoot one?
That's when I asked Harm, I said, this is probably not the best first animal, is it? And he said, no, I don't usually recommend Impala to be your first animal. I said, okay. I learned a hard lesson, but I was so determined at this point that it's got to be an Impala. I was offered a few other animals, but I was just like, it has to be an Impala. And then watching them fight and the noises that they make, and they're really a magnificent animal. They are just, they're beautiful, and they impressed me. It was what I wanted.
One thing I learned about Denise in our short time, that when she becomes determined, yeah, she gets determined. And I really like that in her, because I could see as the days went on, the build up to that went from, well, I want to shoot an Impala to I'm going to shoot an Impala to I'm going to blow one away in the face Impala. And you know, you could just see it as we incremented that. And that Tuesday, we went all day before I got my kudu, and these were just some of the things that we had gone through that day, and I ended up with a kudu. And so I was done. I was like, I'm done. And now it's all about Denise and Harm getting her the chance to shoot a common Impala. So we go out the next day, which was Wednesday, and lo and behold, Denise, the first animal in actually was a common, but it kind of spooked us. But then a black Impala showed up. What do you think about those?
Those black Impala are so beautiful. And even the pictures I took of them, they almost look like a silhouette against the trees and the grass because they're just so dark. I said, oh, I'll settle for that if I can shoot a black Impala.
Danny shaking his head, nope.
No. They said, maybe just bring it down a notch for your first animal.
Literally, we had that discussion. And and obviously when you're doing this, everything has a price tag, right? Yep. So if I'd ask, he would name off a price. And it'd be like, and then she's staring at these black Impalas, and I'm like, no. So this black Impala, like you said, there's a picture. I'll have to find it, and I'll show it to you. But it actually looks like a silhouette against the trees. They are a phenomenal animal. And of course, we're hunting for common, and we had 3 blacks come in that morning. And we did have one regular come in here, and this was a shooter. And so one of the things that Harm was very confident in Denise doing now with this gun was shooting at a range up to 100 yards. And this one literally was going to be a shooter, except the black Impala ran him off, which he wouldn't sit still. They would not even just stop. But like you see here, this black Impala, and they've ended up chasing this thing a ways.
And that's also when we were starting to think about the silver, well, not me necessarily, think about the barrel of the gun. So we did wrap it when we saw the black Impala at this time.
Thanks to Swamp Bug Camo for their gator, we got that out of the backpack, and we used a couple of strings off the backpack, and we tied it around the barrel.
Okay, get some camouflage
We
on
were
it.
trying to do everything to
Knock that shine off.
to get that camouflage. But yeah, so that was the end of day 1 that was the Tuesday. And then we're going to take a break, and we're going to come to, between Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to get to the point where it finally happened.
All right, take our last break. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back to the last segment of the show. We've been through the progression of getting there and observing hunting to now learning to shoot and actually getting out in the field and hunting, different types of hunting, stalking, shooting from a truck, shooting from a rest, shooting from cross sticks. And now we're to that point where the week is winding down, but still determined. At that point, when it got to that point, at this point in the week that we just finished up with, were you thinking that in the back of your mind, this may not happen, or were you still just determined that this is going to come together?
I was thinking that I was going to have to settle for a different animal.
Okay.
I wasn't going to go home without shooting something, I guess, but but I was just like, no, it's got to be an Impala.
She was bound and determined, because I put it out there. I said, all right, you want to shoot a blessed buck or Impala, you go right. Because we did have a really nice old blessed buck come in that the horns were just they weren't black. They're almost like a brown. It was actually a beautiful animal. But so Harm said, all right, we're going to go to a different spot. And this is what's nice about, you're not just hunting the same spot over. They've got different places. And we went to the neighbor, actually, and this place was loaded with impala. So, Denise, what did you think when we pulled onto that road and they were just literally going back and forth and we could hear them all over the place?
I was really excited. Truly was excited because you'd seen them everywhere, you heard them everywhere, but it was just a matter of getting them in the right position or getting them to hold still. And we saw other animals on this property as well. We saw a giraffe, and one of the shots that was not taken was because there was a giraffe behind the impala. The impala was standing there, and the giraffe was standing behind the impala. And he said, "Don't shoot." And I said, "Do not worry, I am not going to shoot."
Have to explain to Danny why he's paying for a giraffe. And where are you going to put it?
I know where I'm going to put it. We're running the video now of when we were driving and we didn't run into them, but the family of giraffes we got into. And we were on the way to the ground blind when this happened. And this was the telephone, this was Impala Lane that we called it, because literally, well, like I discussed before, we shut the truck off and the Impala were 360 around us. So it was just phenomenal as we were heading for the blind. And when we got in the blind, it was a cement blind. It was low to the ground on a water hole. And lo and behold, sitting, I don't even know how it showed. You saw it first, Denise, but a springbuck was bedded down, just kind of hanging out. What do you think about seeing a springbuck?
Well, because anytime I saw an animal, I always would do, oh! And so Harm's immediately thinking I see an impala, and here it's a water buck sitting there. And he's just sitting there chewing his cud, because they ruminate just like cows do. And he sat there for the longest time, just sitting by that hole. It was a very huge animal as well.
And what do they explain what the white ring is on their butt?
Yes, so I couldn't remember what it was called, which I'll never forget now, but Harm said it looks like they sat on a wet toilet seat. So when I saw the water buck laying there, I said, "Oh, it's one of the toilet seat animals."
There you go. So when somebody tells you how to identify an animal and they give you that description, it just sticks with you.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was just, it was awesome. But what we got into the blind, like I said, it was a cement low blind.
So it looks like you're on watch here.
So like we've talked about, Dave said you do what your pH says. So what we did is Harm took a nap, then Denise followed the pH's lead, took a nap.
Danny was on watch.
And I was, but I won't lie, I got to sit down and take a nap after these two took their little nappy poos. But the moment, it was getting later in the morning, and it was 11 o'clock hour, and we could hear them grunting. And we could hear two of them getting close. And then now, Denise, take us through the moment Harm set the sticks up and got you pointed out the window.
So there was a couple of impala out there, and I was actually aiming for, they were like nose to nose, and so I was actually aiming for the one on the left, but he ended up, no, actually it was the one on the right. And then he's like, "Go ahead and get the one on the right." And we lined up the shot, and then it moved. And he said, "Okay, just go for the one on the left." So I was able to scope out the one on the left. And he's like, "Whenever you're ready, just go ahead and shoot." We were inside the cement blind. We have a cement window that's just barely above the ground. And the sticks bring the gun up just enough above the ground. But the gun, I guess, wasn't out of the window just enough. So when I fired, the first thing that happened for me was ring in my ears. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was going to happen. But because that window is so narrow, neither Danny or Harm could see what happened. And I was still in shock from the noise of the gun. So we have to get out of the blind. Harm calls in Jova, which is our tracker, and we start walking around where the Impala was. He had Danny stay where the Impala was, and he said, okay, you follow me. So we walk over to the right, and he's not seeing an Impala, and he's not seeing blood. And I'm totally getting discouraged, and I'm already thinking, okay, how do I tell these guys I don't want to do this anymore? I can't do this anymore. And then, so Jova comes in, and he starts tracking where Danny was standing. And Harm says, stay with Jova. And Harm started to walk, and he did bigger circles over to the left. And then all of a sudden you hear Harm scream. He's like, yes, she did it. She finally did it.
Nice.
And so we ran over there, and the Jova and the other tracker were very excited. We were excited. It was great.
Okay.
So great.
So you know he's down. You're walking up, and you see it for the first time. What's your first thought?
I was amazed. I was really amazed, and I was glad to see from where the Impala was standing to the distance where it was laying there. Was a very short distance. And then as I come up, I say thank you to the Impala and say, you're going to be super famous now. But I was very excited. I was very excited.
There's a picture there that I noticed, and you have your hand on it. Is there a moment of reverence there?
Yes.
Okay.
With all the animals that I witnessed being shot, I always pet them and prayed and said, you're doing good things. It's not in vain. This is, thank you for everything. Just a little prayer, I guess.
So, looking back at it, after you pull that trigger and you walk up and you see it there on the ground, did anything change in your mind at that point about hunting, or did it solidify something that you thought maybe or you had heard?
It definitely. I understand now the addiction of it, because it is pretty exciting. Even when I was out there with Danny and even with Morgan, watching these guys looking for these animals and seeing what they do to make sure they're getting the animal that they're supposed to get. Many times they passed on animals because they're in rut. You don't shoot them when they're in rut. They're too small. They're too young. They're females. So I saw their selection, and they made sure what they're shooting at is, one, a shooter, if you will, and two, they have good shots. These animals do not suffer at all.
So you understand the process now?
I do.
Okay.
I really do.
I think that's important for people to really connect with that.
Two things. One, you can't explain what you go through the moment you either release an arrow, pull a trigger, and now she understands that. And two is to realize everything that goes into that moment. I mean, she spent Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, she got her Impala. So she had all that time of it just didn't happen.
Right.
And so it takes that time. And the picture we're showing here is just one of those things that you got to do when you get your first Impala. You got to hold up that number one, because it's an awesome Impala. It was an awesome hunt. Harm was happy. I was ecstatic. But it was just an amazing. She did a fantastic job on this animal of a clean kill, hitting the soccer ball, right, Denise?
Yes.
And it was awesome. It didn't run 30 yards. He just went in the wrong direction. From where I was standing, he went right, and it went straight back and left. And
Gotcha.
so it wasn't a matter of time, but there was no blood. I think the 220 Swift was too fast for it.
Gotcha.
Going through. And it was awesome. And so now she is a successful hunter in Africa.
So
Yes, I am.
So now you've taken an animal. What are you going to do next? Don't say go to Disney World.
I'm going to get married, actually. That's what I'm going to do next.
She's hunting. She's going to take her prize buck, right? Put him on the wall. Danny's head on the wall.
Hold on a second here. Wait a minute. I'm trying to get, but it was, and we made it back by lunchtime, and it was a great moment pulling into the skinning shed with them. Morgan and Dave were waiting, and it was just a great time.
So I also kind of realized you spent Mother's Day over there.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So they do anything special for you?
So yes, actually at our lunch they had balloons and a card, and there was a special dessert. Myself and Annie got to have dessert before our lunch, and it said Mother's Day on it. So they recognized Annie and I for Mother's Day.
That's pretty cool.
It was very cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
But seriously, now looking back at that, now you're a first-time hunter, successful hunter, accomplished. You've been shooting. Are you eager to go to the gun range, and are you eager to get up to camp and start looking and scouting and doing all those outdoor things that go along with hunting? I mean, that's a whole new world to experience.
Yes, I am very anxious to try at least target shooting again, because I felt like I kept, once I had the scope on something and then they were to zoom in, I would lose some of the vision of the scope.
Right.
And so I need to work on that. I feel like.
Gotcha.
Like there was something
there that's different that you need to get accustomed to.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to the gun range. So what we did find out, though, is we learned that the 220 Swift is only good for like 3 animals, and if she moves up to a 30 caliber bullet, she could take more so.
Gotcha.
So she's got to work her way up into a 308 or a 30-06.
Okay.
So we're going to work on. And as you can tell, we were kind of already making plans for going back. But, so we got her Impala. I totally missed the story the last time, and so real quick, the Friday, we had a day or two, and we went wing shooting. They had, one of their mass crops there are sunflowers. And so they took Dave and I, they gave me the over and under. It was a 12 gauge. I was going to have, if it was a 20, I would have had Denise shoot it, but they didn't have one. So we went out, we did some wing shooting.
Did you get lost in the sunflowers?
Shut up. Well, so as you can see here, there is a height difference between me and the sunflowers and Harm. So out there, they were taking pictures. You want to explain the story of exploding sunflowers, Denise?
Yeah, so this is both a new experience for Danny and I. So we're just rolling with it, whatever's happening, and Danny's blowing away sunflowers left and right. And I'm thinking nothing of it because I've never done this before. I figure it just happens. He's never done this before, so this is just how it happens. And at one point, I did make a joke. I said, they're going to ask, well, how many did you get? And I'm going to say, a whole bushel of sunflowers. But then we get back to the safari room, and we're having lunch or dinner, and Harm is kind of giggling, and he said, well, this is kind of a new experience for me because of Danny's height. He kept hitting the sunflowers whenever the birds would go down low, and he couldn't contain the giggles. And that's when I realized, yeah, this probably doesn't normally happen.
You can't escape it, dude.
You know what? And I remember a couple times shooting, and there was that sunflower that lost its head, literally. But it was so much fun, and it just wasn't 1, 2. There was hundreds of doves going in and out of this field, and Harm was just calling it off. And eventually, Harm said, "Okay, I'm grabbing a gun." So he grabbed a gun, and he was shooting too. So, you know, it was about, I think we were there 2 hours, and we had fun. I got 7. I think Dave got 7, and I got 1 guinea fowl. And it was just a new experience for myself, for Denise, and it was a great time. So Denise, overall, I'm showing the picture of us, the gang at the end there. We took a picture. What was your overall thinking now? We had a couple. We went to the bar that night. We went to the 4x4 mud thing. But time to come home. What were your overall thoughts of going to Africa to become a first-time hunter?
I don't know. I felt like maybe I wasn't ready to go home. And I was pretty amazed at everything that we had done. I felt very relaxed because you got what you came there for. I ended up getting the Impala. Morgan had gotten her Harold King Award. Like, everybody was successful. So it just made for very relaxing, good feels at the end.
You know it's good when you said I wasn't ready to go home. You know that to me tells me that you had a great time, and like Danny said, I know you guys are planning on going back. So
you know, and that's the thing. Yeah, you're right, Mr. Mark Coleman. So you come back home emotionally, physically, mentally, and financially spent. Well done.
Yep. That's that means you had a good time.
What is the price on a sunflower? I don't know, but man, it was. Here's a question for you.
Bluetooth pairing.
Bluetooth is pairing. Did you enjoy eating the wild game when we were in Africa?
Oh, absolutely. We got to try eland, sable, impala, and I think kudu as well. The eland and the sable are very similar, but the eland is a lot more tender. But also, they have a great cook that I don't think there's anything he couldn't cook, and everything was delicious. So good.
You know, as a matter of fact, if you they actually posted some of the pictures. I don't know if it was from when we were there, but Leon the cook, these are the meals that you would get. This would be like this looks like an appetizer that you would get, and then you would serve a dinner, and literally every meal that we had was you had the appetizer, you had the main course, and then you had a dessert. And literally, he didn't even ask. He goes, is there something you would like to have? And Denise and I kind of were on the same page of, well, hey, whatever you give us, let's try it, because we can have it back home.
Right, yeah.
So what was your favorite meal? Since we're not going to ask you all the questions, what was your favorite meal of the African trip? And don't say the pizza in the airport on the way home.
I don't remember what it was called, but it was a traditional African dish that was served over probably what we would consider like grits or hominy. It was, they called it pap, and then there was almost like a meatloaf, and it had raisins in it and bananas, and it was really good, and you put it on top.
Bluetooth connected.
I'm sorry about that, but I don't remember what it was called.
I don't remember what that was either, but it was very good. It had a little tangy taste to it, but man, it was good. But like we said, Leon there, the cook there at Metwetwe, did a fantastic job.
She just apologized too.
So it was awesome. And okay, so best meal was the African meal that we had, she said. Our favorite snack out while we were hunting was?
Oh, we had, while we were hunting?
Yeah, I mean, so this is kind of if you want to say which one we had every day, or you could pick the one we kind of had when we were up on top of the mountain.
I'm not sure what you're getting.
We had Skittles.
Oh.
But
yes, we had Skittles.
Right, so that was good. That was our snack.
Yeah, so when we had our lunch out on the mountain, they packed us a lunch box, is what they called it, and it had sandwiches and boiled eggs and mini egg rolls and like mini croissants.
It was good.
Sounds like y'all were treated like kings and queens.
Like I said, we were the four, and again, I'll throw it out. Metwetwe, when they bring you in, like there was 4 of us that week, and it was so much fun to be with Dave and Morgan, and it made so much better just knowing the other couple. With that being said, I'll save this for the show we're going to do in the future about the conservation of it all. But Dave did end up having tick fever.
Okay.
I talked to him this week, and sure enough, he ended up, because he was wearing shorts all the time, and they were picking ticks off of him left and right, but he ended up getting tick fever. So I'll explain how he survived that in Africa.
All right.
But
And if anybody's looking for a trip, give them the contact for Dave and how to get in touch with Dave.
yeah, so if you go over to Droptine OutdoorsAdventures.com, go there, hit up the info button there, and then if you want to check out Matwetwe Safaris on Facebook or their webpage to look at for some more info. Dave usually does all the SCI shows here in Michigan. We'll definitely be visiting with him next year because Harmon and Hendrick are due back February.
Okay.
So, but yeah, if you want to, or get a hold of me, and I'll get you the information you need to. Matter of fact, on the way back, a gentleman had gotten a hold of me. But, so, what do you think about Denise learning to shoot, hunt, get an animal?
It's an incredible story. It's just something you don't hear every day. Your first time shooting a rifle and shooting a game animal is in Africa. And you joined the outdoor brother and sisterhood, so to speak. So welcome aboard, and also I'll give you both a quick shout out. This weekend, but next weekend, you two will become husband and wife, and that's pretty doggone cool for both of you.
And I'll shout out to you. You'll be standing up with us.
Yeah, and depending on how much we have to drink afterwards, I don't know if I'll be standing.
That's okay.
If your brother Terry's listening, it's on the rail. That's all I'm going to say.
Don't worry, my brother will be there. But thank you very much for that. Denise and I are excited. You are, right, Denise?
Yes, I'm pretty excited.
I just had to confirm that. But yeah, 10 days from now.
There you go.
And hopefully this October, November, get her out in the woods, and maybe we'll have a deer report from her.
So you take her to Africa. How are you going to top that for the honeymoon? I'm trying to help you out here, Denise.
Oh, don't worry. We're already thinking about that. She even said, we're going to go to Africa, but I said, don't worry, we'll figure something out. And
trying to help you out here, Denise.
Yeah.
So we're going to start.
I appreciate it.
We're going to start a GoFundMe page to go fund our honeymoon. But
right.
I tell you what, it was such. From my personal experience of teaching new hunters and watching hunters being taught, Harm did a fantastic job with her. She was awesome. And Denise, everything that has been said about you learning and shooting has been fantastic to hear.
Well, thank you.
Looking forward to hearing about deer season coming up this fall. I tell you guys, if you guys want to go to the rifle range, I've just got a membership at Saginaw Field and Stream Club. You guys can come up with me anytime, and we'll go up there and shoot.
That sounds good. One question I forgot to ask you. Did you ever feel unsafe while you were out hunting?
No, I did not.
Okay, there you go. Morgan says take her back to Africa, and Tammy Duck says shoot a black impala.
There we go.
It's already on my list.
There you go. See, she's already got a list planned. And the longer you wait, the longer that list is going to get.
I think we wildebeest and impalas.
Okay.
So there you go.
That's good.
All right, so that is 10 days. We'll be getting married. Stay tuned for that. I don't think we're going to do a show on that, but that's all right. Next week's show.
Next week we're gonna.
We don't
know yet.
We don't know yet. If we don't have a show, we might be a little busy with wedding plans and stuff. So
we're just kind of putting that on hold right now.
Yeah.
But we will have one the following week. So everybody stay tuned for. We'll put out an announcement and let everybody know. So
maybe we'll go live from the wedding with Mike and Dan.
I can do that.
I know we can.
We'll give you an update.
Right?
All right. Well, listen, everybody who's listening on the podcast, go over to iTunes and give us a review if you would, please. If you're listening off of iTunes, that helps people who support us in return. And if you watching this over on Facebook or wherever you're picking this up at, maybe it's on YouTube later in the week, give us a like, follow, share as well. And do us a favor, share the show if you would. So that's going to do it for this week. If we're not back next week, the next time you see Danny, he's going to be a married man. So with that being said, y'all be safe. We'll see you next time.
This episode was brought to you by PSC Archery,
Deer Camp Coffee,
Buck Baits,
JPO Game Calls,
The Island Armory,
Hacker Max,
Sunrise Archery,
and C3 Better the Hunt Technology.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.